Get your day started right. From our shack to yours, this is Coffee and Ham Radios. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. Oh, yeah, we don't have the thing. This is Chuck's show. I forgot there's a lower set of production values on Chuck's show.
What? You did a good job.
You're driving, son.
I'm driving.
You're humping the chicken, Charles. That's what we.
Yeah, I was still listening to the intro. Sorry, I forgot to turn it off.
You're the chicken bee.
I wasn't. What was the word? I wasn't. I was flying by the seat of my pants there.
Yeah.
Right.
Morning, everybody. So today, I thought T.O. was coming. I guess T.O. will be here later.
He was. He said he had internets.
His computer's
Internet
being
problems.
effy.
Computer problems. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Being
That's
effy.
what happens on the road, man.
Yeah.
So we brought Dennis in because we're talking about batteries. And even though Ape knows everything about batteries, we brought in an expert anyhow. And me and Jim are just here for, the looks.
Yeah, for eye
Getting
candy.
4 people.
That's right.
For 4 people being in it, so it's a more thing. Dennis, you haven't had a chance probably. I don't know if you were on T.O.'s show that night, but you hit your big first back east ham fest.
Oh yeah,
How was that
T.O.
for you?
doesn't invite me anymore, so
He invites everybody, but you may not be on the list.
I don't know what
Just
happened.
saying.
I got blacklisted for whatever reason, but
Did you have fun?
maybe. Yeah, it was a great time. It was an awesome time.
Wasn't
Did
there
you
the
buy
incident with
anything?
the goat and the Wesson oil? That's probably what did it. Dennis.
Hey, show him what you bought.
Oh,
Show him
let me
what
get
you
it.
bought that Jim.
Show him what you
now
bought,
wishes-
Chuck, that you didn't get home with. Oh wait, you can't.
I
Oh,
got this
you know
puppy
what?
Right here.
Look at that thing.
Yeah, no, I'm a little.
I'll show it to you later, Jim, because I will have one.
Let me get
Hey,
it
I
in
see. I
camera.
see me on there.
Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
let's get the reflection. There they are.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
This
look at
picture
me.
on that. The screen on that thing's really sharp, man.
It's a great
Was that
tablet.
Apple
It's
screen?
like-
Throw it down.
No,
I saw you had to contact them about the drivers.
Yeah, so these are freshly wiped. They're totally clean. Well, at least I don't know. Probably the guy is named Charles. He works for Computer and Telecom Recycling Service, and he wipes them and just installs bare windows on them. And then he says, "Go contact the company for the drivers." So I did, and they got back to me on the Monday right afterwards, and gave me the whole driver set. And then there's this little tiny hack that they told me to do to get the Wi-Fi card to work. But now everything works.
Yeah.
And what I love about this, what I wasn't expecting, is it has this GPS installed in the unit. So
Nice.
very good.
I was like, I hope that works. And then I was testing out a pinpoint APRS and picked me up.
We'll
Found
do
my
it from inside your
location, my
house.
grid square. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
picked
So it's
us?
pretty strong.
Who
it
picked you
was
up?
pretty awesome. And so now I just got to take it out, pour some water on it, drop it in the dirt, all that kind of stuff.
Chuck said you were throwing it around. There.
He did throw it, man. I
Yeah,
mean, he
I
didn't
was-
just drop it. He went
I
like
wanted
that.
I wanted to shock Chuck, so
You should do the Yoo-hoo
I just
test
picked it
with
up and I just tossed it on the ground. He's like, "Why'd you do that?"
Like, I know it's made to do that, but why did you do that?
And I had just watched the company video about these
Yeah,
where
he
they
didn't
were
tell me that
dropping
part.
them from like 6 feet. So yeah,
What is that thing called?
it's just the Mobile Demand T1550 ruggedized tablet.
Ape's
Rugged
going to buy
tablet.
one.
Yeah, he's
No,
he's
no,
already-
I'm
Abe's
not.
about to go on eBay and get one. Hey, Tio.
Hey, Dennis, how's it going?
See, I gotta
Stevie.
leave and come back because Tio's
Oh,
frozen.
you can't
right
see
now.
him?
Is he
Oh, he's
frozen
frozen?
for you?
No.
No.
All right.
Dennis, you're
I'm
kind of
gonna-
you
slow to
running-
me.
Are you running this on your
BRB.
tablet?
Yeah, maybe.
Man, those things are not cheap. But here's one. The 8650
All right,
is
BRB.
$1,000.
Oh, he didn't. They were pretty cheap.
He
There.
didn't want to hear that.
125.
Yeah, 125. And then apparently they marked them down later, but I think
He was
Somebody-
saying those were busted though. or
busted
something.
ones. Okay.
He did turn one on, one of the ones he didn't buy after he bought his, and it didn't work right. It didn't come on or something. But there he is. He's back.
I'm back.
I'm seeing a bunch of the
Tio is
T7000s. I'm not seeing the 1550.
Are we doing DMR this
Well,
morning?
Dave.
No. So,
What is
just so you guys
Dennis,
know,
what is
this is excited for Dennis. I spent 4 days with Dennis. This is excited for him. He was excited about
4
the.
days
It's like me.
and nights.
Yes.
What
I
what
lucked
was the
out on
name
that
of the
deal.
guy that you bought it from? What was his company?
I got his card right here. His name is Charles Holland. I don't know if he has a call or if he just crashed the Hamfest.
He might just
But-
be crashing.
His website is pleaserecycleit.com. Charles Holland Senior Computer and Telecom Recycling Service.
You probably get your Ham Shack hotline from this guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, I got a Ham Shack hotline, an extension, and a soft phone.
His is
Jim,
all.
you-
This is all pickup stuff. He's not selling anything on this thing.
Oh, he's not. Oh,
So here's,
for you to
here
recycle
it
it.
is. I mean, here's the card. I don't know if you guys can see the card.
Yeah, it's kind of the robot there.
It looks like Jim's office.
But this thing's got a nice hand thing. Right
Yeah, it's got a
here.
little hand thing on the back to hold it.
You can hold it.
So you could use your left hand to hold that. That's good. And then
So I can
tap
take
on your-
people's order at the drive-through.
Yeah,
Yep.
Like, like at the Chick-fil-A. Don't they? That's
Yeah.
what they use at the Chick-fil-A, right?
yeah. When
Same one.
they bring out the double lines at the Chick-fil-A, there's like 4 kids out there with little tablets,
Well, the restaurants have like
and they're taking orders
iPads
like
now.
10 cars back from the speaker.
Yep.
You guys got anything to say about what you're doing lately? Ape, T.O., James?
I ain't doing
Roll
nothing.
with it, son.
It's too hot.
All right. So we're gonna talk about different type of batteries today. I mean, you can go depending on what you're doing. There's a battery for you, right? Like lead acid's okay, especially if
Heavy.
you're they're heavy, but reasonably priced compared to a lithium battery. Lithium batteries have actually come down some, I think, since I first started looking at them, and they've gotten better, I think. And we have the premier lithium battery maker with us tonight, and that's Dennis. Today, actually, I don't know why I said tonight. It's pretty early.
I don't know
But,
about that.
What? The early? You know about the early part.
The premiere. I mean, I am a excited hobbyist.
Okay, the excited hobbyist in battery builder.
Don't forget.
He enjoys going to work and making batteries.
All right,
like
Jim.
those other companies.
I got.
Thank you,
wore
Richie.
down. Everyone was like, "Hey man, you sell those?" I got wore down after like, what, 2 years of making them. And
How do you do
now
that?
I build them as fast as I can.
Yeah,
That was
Well,
funny.
I-
I heard Dennis talking over the thing.
I know.
Well, Dennis,
I
you
don't know
do
how
a
he did
lot
that.
of testing. When you individually test each cell before you construct the battery and the finished product, right?
Yeah.
Every
So-
one of my batteries, they go through quality control. I got to
So-
make sure
so-
that they got the capacity and all that.
Here's one of Dennis's batteries that I got from him, and most people would sell this as a 6 amp hour battery, but Dennis tests it and it says it's actually a 5.5, 71
Yep.
71 watt hours. So you get what he says, and you've tested it to that point, and you know it'll do it at minimum that, right? Or most likely that, I guess. But this one's different. Tell them a little bit different because I had a special thing that I want to do. I want to do 100 watts on soda, and this is a small battery. But why don't you tell them why it's capable of that?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do, I build my batteries. You know, why not just buy some of these cheap ones that you find out there? I build mine because I wanted a small battery that works with my 857D, and that thing is supposed to draw 22 amps at max transmit when you're using
It's actually
digital
easy.
mode or PW, right?
Well, the menu requires a couple extra amps, right?
What's the big screen? It's the big screen.
It's got to be. But
It doesn't pull that
couldn't
much.
really
no.
find that. You know, you had to get at least a 12 amp hour or a 20 amp hour if you wanted that kind of throughput on
Right.
most batteries. So I'm basically giving away my secret here. As soon as Biono just makes a higher capacity battery, I'm out of business. But
Right.
or higher
Battery wars
throughput.
have started.
But what I do is I fit these 20 amp BMSs on cells that are capable of that much or more. So I had to pick out each of the cells, the the BMS and all that. I double up on the nickel strips when I'm spot welding them so that it takes the current between the cells. And essentially, you're getting a tiny QRO battery. It's not going to last that long. It'll probably last you 30 minutes if you're doing like a park activation
Right.
on full power
Yeah, I think we're
FT8
done.
or something.
We're gonna find out.
But and Chuck's going to put that to the test, and then he's going to come back next episode and say, "Man, these batteries are crap."
Yeah, why did we have Dennis on the show?
No.
Yeah,
So-
so that's pretty much what I'm going for. Is I've always wanted something that's packable, something that's small. A lot of people ask me, "Hey, man, can you build me a 30 amp hour, a 100 amp?" I'm like, "That's not my thing. I've made those,
Right.
but that's not really my thing. I just made
Right.
them out of necessity for myself." And they're
Yeah, you
easy
got
to
one for
make.
like your fridge, right? In your
Now,
garage.
yeah,
there?
you've whipped together some big batteries, right?
Yeah, but in terms of the actual product that I sell, I have just these single packs. I also make a double one now, and then I have a BMS, Denko branded, that it
Oh,
has
yeah, got your own.
the
It's been
20
approved too.
amps, and it is basically, I had soda in mind when I built these, so
Right.
I haven't
that's
done
what-
a high amp draw test, so that's what Chuck's for.
Yeah.
He's gonna
So that's
try
what
it.
I was looking for because last time I went out, we found out the gate was closed. I only had a 20 amp hour battery with me, but I lugged that thing. You know, it was like, luckily it was only like a mile or so in and out. But that thing was heavy. And I was looking for something that I can just throw in. Like this, I can use this for any of my batteries I use for soda, really, because
Yes.
it's more than enough for
It'll
the
power a
705 or the
7300,
KX2.
It will power your KX2 right?
Yeah.
And anything in between.
Yeah, that
I like the
A57
fact that
really
the
only
components
draws
out there,
about.
are the
Sorry.
voltage displays easily retrofitted? They're not easily retrofitted, but you're kind of leading to my next step in Denko, which is I'm going to be offering DIY kits as soon as I get that all nailed down. And that serves two purposes. It gets the product out because I can't build them fast enough, apparently. So I'm just going to make you build them.
There you go.
Problem worth having.
So how
And
are you
I
going
will
to
offer
fasten the
those,
straps? Because I mean, not everybody has a spot welder, right?
Yeah, that's the point. Is I will do the spot welding for you, and I
Okay.
will make. I will get everything going. That the hard stuff that you don't want to do, like
Right.
doing all this, getting it all ready, putting them in the holder, and I'll give you the BMS, the leads, all the instructions, the wrap, the stickers, the most important part.
Oh, Jesus,
Yeah.
that adds 6 dB right there, son.
Yeah.
Dennis,
And
I
you can put it
volunteer as
together.
tribute to test a Denko kit. So if it blows up, you know, I'm old. It's no loss, right?
Jim,
It-
Jim,
And that's
it
what
might be a
coffee
little
and ham
harder than
radio is
building a
all about,
coil.
right? I mean, you don't make antennas for people; you sell the kit, and so
Right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
because that
be
way we
doing-
can keep up with the sales,
yeah.
right?
So I'm hoping to have that out within the next month. Got to make a video on how to actually do it, how to actually put this all together so that it looks pretty, and then people will be able to buy that, or at least I'm planning this. They'll be able to buy that that voltage LCD and put it on there themselves.
Oh, that'll be sweet.
That's a little bit more complicated, and you got to be very patient and.
Oh, Jim's
with
out.
an X-Acto knife, or
Who
I
fixed
have-
his AIOC boards? 2 of them out of 4.
Well, yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
50-50. So that's not 50%. It's better than
Yeah,
most
but you had,
batters.
to, you had to go through like 6 of them, Jim. I mean, come on,
No,
that's
I went
the
through
whole
4.
story.
I went through 4. 50% fail rate, but on
Hey,
the
if
other
I-
hand, 50% success rate.
If he was
actually
playing
have-
baseball, 500% is good.
500 balls, son. I'd be at the head of the league, just kind of like the Braves, over
something I'm
500
testing
ball.
out soon with the DIY kits is I'm going to offer the clear plastic
Oh.
wrap, so you don't have to do any cutting for showing the LCD or LED. I mean,
We should steal
Oh,
that
gotcha.
clear.
Gotcha.
look at it. Right?
Gotcha.
We should
I
steal
like
that
that.
clear plastic wrap for the antennas.
That would pimp them out deliciously.
And
Is that
then
like the blue
you also
stuff
get the
still?
see-through look, there's
You
like
heard it
those
here
things
first.
that you can get for an Apple Mac where it looks like you're seeing through the iPhone or seeing through the
Oh yeah. Those are
Mac,
neat.
where you just see all the internals. Well, my clear scan, you just see all the internals of your battery.
So
It'll make it much worse for TSA though, and Chuck has a
What's-
story about that. But
what size
man.
battery kits are you gonna sell?
I'm probably going to offer mostly 5 to 6 amp hour,
Okay.
and then 12 if you're looking for it. If you want to go beyond that, then we got to talk, because that's a significant endeavor if you want to go beyond 12
Right.
amp hour.
Just getting that many cells, or getting that many cells?
Well,
that
it's
are-
like these. I'll go back to here. Each of these connections, it just multiplies exponentially as you increase the number of parallel packs that you have.
right.
So, and plus you got to double it up for the amps. So, like one of these, I think takes, I think it's 8 or 10 nickel strips to do this. If I go to double this, it suddenly jumps up to like 30 nickel strips.
Oh, wow.
For whatever reason.
So basically, you've got your 13.1 volts or whatever it is, 13.4, and then now you're going to add a second, same thing again as a second
Yep.
one
You
in
get a
parallel.
and then
So it's
and
like
so on.
hooking two batteries together,
Yep.
regular batteries. So, there's some major advantages to lithiums. Weight is like the biggest thing, right? I mean, I put a 300 amp hour in my motorhome, and I had 3 100-ish Group 31s in there, and it probably weighs the same as one of those batteries. Total, or dang
Those
close.
gas mileage went up.
Yeah, so now I'm getting 3.2 miles a gallon instead of 3.1 miles a gallon. Actually, it does better than that, but I was just kidding. And then, the spot welding thing is the hard part for most people because most people don't have a spot welder.
Yeah,
I guess
that's the thing. It's
technically
like,
you can solder some of those or
I've
not.
shared the info. A lot of people
Right.
ask me how do you do this, so I've shared the info. You can buy the spot welder. It's about $135 US from this company in UK called Molectrix.
Okay.
It attaches to a car battery. The car battery has to have at least 400 cold cranking amps, I think, or something like that.
Mm.
Get the little electrodes, and it's like one of the best purchases I ever made. But someone who wants to do a DIY battery is not necessarily going to build them to the scale that I'm doing, right?
Right.
They're just going to make 1 or 2. So I'm going to bust out $135 for something that I'll use once or
So
twice.
this is Jim's question here that we're answering right now, and Jim is the guy that helped us do the mobile installs, and Abe was asking
Yeah.
about Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
Yeah,
I
Jim's
remember Jim.
Jim's a great guy. Thanks again, Jim.
I know.
And
Airwaves
Airwaves,
GPS.
yeah, there you go.
Yes, but it's called Molectrix. It's if you go to molectrix.eu, Molectrix, MAL.
See,
like the lady.
being a UK company, I would expect them to be called Melectrics, but
Molectrix.
Well, that's something he would use. So he probably will buy one because he's a installer and
but
everything.
it's a great little kit, and get to
Look at
adjust
Jim.
the pulse and all that kind of stuff.
Is that it?
There you go. Maybe it costs less now that the dollar's strong against the euro.
some company wanted to send me one of those little welders to test
they?
and do a video on, but I don't know what I'm doing, so I told them I couldn't review it because I didn't have the expertise to,
We can do it on nuggets.
and we could.
If they disappear, something went wrong, right?
Watch Abe burn his house down.
Oh, you've got the switch. Do you have the switch too? The foot switch for
Oh,
yours?
look at that.
Yes, I do.
XT90s. Hold on. XT90s, Chuck.
I know. I've
Your
got
old
some.
news.
Yeah.
I've got some.
XT60s
So
are
I
old news,
actually,
man.
I did a battery build video with Josh, HRCC Josh, and he bought one of these, and he was just having so much fun. It's kind of like that hammer and nail situation. You just start looking for stuff to spot weld afterwards.
Right.
It's just fun
Right.
to use.
But my question: does the cat hold still long enough for that? I mean, just
That's how I dry my dog off after she gets out of the bathtub.
it'll work. Yeah.
Done. Spot dry.
I had to dry my hair that way too with a little.
Our buddy Nick from the 503, he was saying, what about 3 amps for QRP? You would just say
Yeah.
get the 5.5, right?
It's why not just get a slightly bigger one? These packs that I have, they weigh 1 pound and 1 1.43 pounds.
Yeah.
And then the compact ones are 1.3. I do have 3 amp hour cells, but I only have like a couple sets. So, I mean, they can be made. You'd have to reach out. Let me know that you need one.
Thanks here.
Doc Brad has dropped a super chat and said his
Hey, Brad.
Denko battery is fairly competent at
Thank you,
his
Brad.
speeds. Thank you,
Something
Brad.
like
Doc,
that.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad.
Chuck, back. Chuck,
What?
back. Hey, Chuck.
Oh, that
Chuck.
guy.
Chuck got upset and left. And here it comes.
Oh, I was going to do that because then it's quieter.
Thank you for getting a Denko, Bradley.
We met. I got to meet Brad. He was at Dayton. I got to meet him there, and then To. We've had him on Nuggets.
He's the
Yeah,
flex
he's-
guy, right? He's got a flex.
He's finna come
He's
back
out.
too.
He's got a flex. He's
Yeah.
going to come back. Now we set up FT8 and digital modes for his father. Somebody
Yeah, his father.
on an older radio, on an older Kenwood.
Yeah, so it's like
Chuck,
it's
what
like
are we
one
looking
phone
at?
for
So,
more, Chuck.
I'm just going to give the guy
Doing
a
the
for
comparison.
this is the comparison of size. This I think it's a 3 amp hour, so it's not much bigger, and twice the power. It's just a hair taller, and that's because of his the Denko
BMS.
BMS and stuff. So
All right.
I mean, and you can't hardly, you can barely feel the difference.
Thing again because I can't hear Chuck.
Oh, because somebody took me out and put me back.
That's what it is.
That's what it
It
was.
wasn't
Thanks,
me. It wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Jim. It was Jim. It
So
was
while
Jim.
we're waiting for Dennis to come back, I am currently stuck in Vidalia, Louisiana. If anybody's in the area, message me on the Discord, and we'll go do a POTA.
Is that the onion
Yeah.
capital of Louisiana?
It is. There's like 3 onion factories within sight
Wow.
of my campsite, and I can smell them all, and they're fantastic. But you're going to need to bring a radio, and we're probably going to need to do it really, really early in the morning because it
Is it hot there?
it's over 100 every day for the past however
Wow.
many days.
Dennis, I was just showing the size difference is not huge,
Yep.
going up to twice the size of a
And
battery.
That smaller one is 4.5 or 3.
Shoot, the writing's so small I can't read it. Hang on. I think
Why,
it's
you should just know this.
I forget. It's a 3 amp hour, so about half the size.
Look at that, though.
Not, but it's over half the size.
Yeah,
So,
that's
It's half the
something.
size, but it's over half the size. Y'all picked up on that.
well,
I know.
half
Yeah,
the
that makes
size
sense.
and half the size in amp hours, but not over half the size of the actual physical size. There you go.
Yep.
Some people probably figured that out.
Another
Carolina Steve.
thing,
Thank
and-
you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Steve. Steve got the standing ovation.
Yes.
And
Well, that's
Tio's
another
doing his
thing.
best.
Is the
You're not
form
quite
factor.
up to her skills there.
A lot of people are talking to me about form factor
Mhm.
because they can't get a 6 amp hour that's not a brick. They
Right,
want a
like a
flatter pack. And then the ones they get are like cubes, and it doesn't really fit in their pack right. So, but
Yeah,
it's
this-
the perfect capacity that they want.
This would go into a pack real easy because it doesn't bulge out, as opposed to like the I have a 9 amp hour and it's smaller. I mean, it's smaller than the big brick that you're talking about, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't, like the 12 amp hour was always like a nice style the way it was built. It's very similar to this. I mean, probably quite a bit bigger, but
Yeah. So we got a question from Marvin. Marvin's asking, can you hook these up in parallel with power poles into a power block for more amps?
Absolutely.
So
And TO, you have a
three
proof of
threes.
concept of that, right?
I do, but it's in my truck, and my truck isn't here. So I was going to show that. So you take 3 amp hour batteries, and you connect them together into a regular power pole distribution block, and then the fourth port that comes out produces 9 amp hours of
Yes.
runtime. So you're every time you add a battery, you're adding runtime in parallel, and then in series, you're halving the runtime and doubling the output voltage. Is that right? Did I say that right?
Say it again.
the amperage stays the same, but you double voltage.
Yeah. So if you put them in series, you get a double, 24 volt.
24
battery.
volts. So
They're still
when
3
you're
amp
playing when
hours.
you're playing with this, put it all together and measure it before you plug anything in.
Right. And,
Now, the
can
other
you
thing
mix
you'd
and-
have to be
mix and match?
concerned. The other thing you'd have to be concerned with is, and I guess this is what Chuck was starting to say, mix and match. So if you have a battery that can put out 50 amps, and you stick a lower power battery on there, how is that gonna? How are the
50 and
BMSs
a
on
9.
Yeah, how are the BMSs on different batteries gonna deal with that?
I mean, I have a setup like that right now, powering a cooler, a 12-volt cooler. So I have a 64 amp hour build connected to a 30 amp hour build.
And what do you keep in that cooler? Your brown liquor?
Pretty much. No, it's like I don't know. I don't know what I got in there right now. It's probably Gatorade. But
So when you combine the 60 and the 30, what do you get?
so it's going
You
to
don't
be
get a
94,
94 so
amp hours, and then you just think about it like water tanks. Like if you got a big water tank and you attach a little water tank and you just have a single drain spout, they'll drain at the same level, right?
Mhm.
It's just you have
Okay.
one that a lot more capacity in it, right?
So even if I have a hundo and a 3 connected together, because that would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
Marvin,
And
is
I'm
that-
trying to pull 20 or 30 amps, maybe 40 amps out of the hundo. It's not
Yeah.
going to smoke the 3 amp hour because the 100's able to supply it, and the 3 will
Well,
just dribble.
Marvin's comment, charge them separate. If they each have their own BMS, that's not necessary because the BMS will cut them off when they are fully charged, right? So it'll take
But when
longer
you-
for the bigger one to charge, but the smaller one will just cut off and say, stop charging me as soon as
Don't you want to charge them all separate though? The first time you hook them together,
Yes.
the first time
You don't
I think
want to connect like a fully charged 60 amp hour to a undercharged 20 amp hour because then they'll try to equalize each other really quickly, and that might be the 20 amp hour might draw way too much, more than the BMS can handle, and then basically
It heats
fries
up.
itself. Yeah, so
Heat
got to be
is your-
careful with that, but that's only
not your
initially.
friend.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to tell people what to do, but if you need more capacity, then just get a bigger battery, right? I mean,
Right.
Right.
I think it goes
If you're
back
out
to what,
someplace,
And this is a contentious subject. A lot of people have said, "No, you're you're doing pressure on the smaller battery." Yeah. I haven't read anything specifically that says that, and I've seen people who do like sailboats and homesteading. They mix and match different capacities like crazy, and it seems to work just fine. So, I go by the whole water tank explanation. I think that they're fine. And I have it in practice right now. I have multiple capacities all hooked together in parallel.
Right.
right?
But now
yeah,
let
but
me-
you're a pretty educated person on the matter, right? And so that's what I'm saying. Like if I'm a new guy messing with batteries, just be careful, I guess is my
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
don't look at the
do
shiny
the-
metal parts. Important
Just be
safety
careful
tip.
with the voltages, and and be sure that they're all the same voltage once you try to put them together.
I've let the smoke out of batteries before, and it is a harrowing experience.
I
Is it
changed
the
my
smoke
motorhome
or-
batteries one time, and one was blown up. I never knew it. I mean, no wonder it didn't work very well, right? Nick,
I should've brought
any
it in.
recommendations for a mobile battery charger? I don't know what he actually needs by a mobile.
This is an area that I haven't really. I just pick up
Hey, you've got
whatever
that
Solar.
NoCo.
out there.
What's that?
You've got that NoCo charger. Does that work on a mobile?
Yeah, well, you need to plug it into 110 AC, but I've got two of them. I got the NoCo. I got a 2 amp and a NoCo 10 amp. In retrospect, I wish I had bought like a 20 amp or something like that because I've got when I bought it, I didn't have all these 100 amp hour batteries, but now that I do, taking 10 hours to charge a battery kind of sucks.
Carlos, Life at Terminal Velocity. We looked at his battery build. He did a 280 amp hour custom wooden crate battery for his
Good for
car,
Carlos.
just to help.
That's nice to you.
And
That's what I call a
that thing
mobile
was-
charger.
That thing was so nice. It
Yeah.
was very nice custom build. I regret not taking a picture. It was pitch dark in there, but we were looking at this thing and I was just
Well, then
really impressed.
we started
His
getting.
wiring,
Jason
his-
started yelling at us because there was a
Oh yeah. Then Jason called us back because he wanted us to have a photo. So
photo op.
Oh, he was he had it there? Man, I wish I'd
Yeah.
seen that.
It was in
Yeah.
his car.
Oh,
You were yelling at somebody about solar panels, so we just left you alone.
yeah, because you got to buy quality solar panels, man.
But
Yeah, so when we're talking about charging on the run, this is what I do. I have the Buddy Pole Power Mini 2, which has the battery port. It's got a USB port, wrong side, USB port over here, solar port, and then over here it has 2 load ports. And then I have it plugged in down here to a battery source, so I can turn it on right now and it comes to life. And I plug this in a variety of ways. So that solar port there, I can plug that into the cigarette lighter in the car. I can plug it into a 110, 120 volt AC socket with a appropriate battery charger. And then it will figure out what it needs to figure out in order to get this thing charged up. And if you, and we've talked about this a couple of times before, if you try to charge up a battery, with a 12 volt source, the lithium iron phosphate batteries require a 14 volt source in order to charge fully, but you'll be able to get, a good, 30, 40, 50, 60% charge into the battery. You won't be able to get it to 100%, but 70% is better than 0% input.
Right.
Yeah,
Or you
my
could buck
truck
it up.
charges at 14.5, so I think it's plenty good enough.
So
Yeah,
back
somewhere
to
around
the
there.
charger question, I actually do sell a charger on my site.
Nice.
It's a 3 amp hour one. It's really the safe one for the different builds that I have. But if you're looking for something more than that, any power supply that provides the amps that you need that can go to 14.6 volts, that's all you need to charge a battery.
Right. I have a Victron. It's pretty nice. It's like apes, like a 10 amp hour or 10 amp.
I actually use a variable power supply that goes to 30 amps sometimes to charge, and I just rely on the BMS to cut it off when it's done.
Yeah.
You
Now,
don't really need all the fancy smart charging, just get a smart battery. That's what you need.
well,
Yeah,
I had read that. I had read that before too, and I've seen several people swear that I'll go to hell if I do it, and several other people said no, it's perfectly safe.
Well, Jim, I've seen you build a toroid, so maybe you better just buy
Toroids
a
are
safe one.
boring, Chuck. They're boring.
No,
they suck.
no,
they make
no.
my eyes
It's all
bleed.
related, dude, on how you.
So
hook
can I get
stuff
back
up.
to the battery question I had? Pop, pop.
Go ahead.
Okay. Jesus wept.
God,
So my
good thing you don't get
question is,
upset.
glad is he still talking? So Dennis on
Salty
the,
pants.
I know it. I told you before the show, man. Up here, the elves are loud. So because of the BMS handling the charge, you could use a lead acid charger, an AGM battery charger. You don't need to have a specific LiFePO charger.
Yeah, I actually get this question a lot, and I don't know the voltage because sealed lead acid chargers, some of them do these weird profiles, right? They'll do float,
They do.
they'll do pulse, they'll
Okay.
do bulk. What is the other one?
Mine does that
But
for
all these
lithiums.
different
They've got that
charging
desulfating
profiles.
thing too.
Yeah. And you don't want that on a BMS of a LiFePO 4 because it actually just kind of stresses out the BMS. You
So
just
if it's-
want standard 14.6, standard, just a solid
No, just a
current
stream.
level. And then the BMS and the cells will fill themselves up and cut off. And that's all they want. They don't want a little trickle charge. They don't want any weird setup. So if
Okay.
you're sealed lead acid, I think it charges at like 13.8 or something like that. I forget, or 14.8. I got to research this so I can answer this question better in the future. But you can use them. It's just you won't charge your LiFePO for it all the way.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if it does that weird
Right.
profile crap, you might
Right.
actually mess with the BMS.
Break something.
So that's why I don't recommend using them. But in a pinch, people have used them, work perfectly fine. It's just not a good long-term thing.
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm on a soapbox, but my thing is that if you're spending $100 on a battery,
Do it right.
just get the damn $20 charger. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand why you would want to put together,
Man,
some.
I got this $8 Chinese one off of Amazon that charges.
Right.
regular-
Or you got some jank ass charger in the garage that I bought that 15 years ago.
It's just kind of like radios. You get
It's
your
the one my
Flex
grandpa
radio.
gave me.
You get your Flex radio for what, $4,000, and then
Right,
turn around
and
and
then-
get a $3 antenna on it.
Reality check.
Right.
But the toy box is such a solid antenna, Dennis. I mean,
It's good for
It
like
just-
whipping the grass.
it just
People
needed
know.
it just needed a $4,000 radio on it. That was its
There
only
you go.
problem.
Jim, people know that we wouldn't let you do that. Come on now.
I wouldn't do that. I'm not quite that lame.
So here's the fun fact. We don't talk about the C enough. So I have a 2 amp hour charger and a 100 amp hour battery. It's going to be 50 hours of charge time. So let's talk about what this, 0.2 C, 0.1 C, what does that mean? How do we figure that out?
So the C rating is like 1 C is what it will take to drain your battery in 1 hour. So if you have a 20 amp hour battery, 1 C is 20 amps draw. So that will take 1 hour theoretically to drain your battery. A lot of ideal like spec sheets, they say it's about 0.2 C
Been there, done that.
is the ideal draw. Or, in the larger batteries like the Headway builds, they'll say 1 C is ideal. But charging also has a C rating, right? So sometimes they'll say you have a 6 amp hour battery, your maximum is 1 C charging. And so people are like, I don't know what this C is, but that's pretty much, you're measuring it against the capacity of the battery.
It's like a percentage, right?
Yeah. So if I'm like
Very good,
Chuck,
Todd.
Chuck wants to go QRO with a tiny battery. So he's going to do like 3 C drain on a 6 amp hour battery. So he's going to get maybe 20 to 30 minutes. If he's doing SSB, it'll be longer. But he's going to do the full draw that the battery can do, which is like 18 to 20 amps. And he's going to get a shorter lifespan on that. It's going to be 1/3 of the lifespan of, instead of 1 hour, he's going to get 20 minutes. So that's battery vernacular. We like to talk about how much you're drawing from the battery.
And what I'm betting on is I can get my 4 to 10 contacts before it dies.
Well, the
Hopefully.
thing is that you want to make sure also that you're using the appropriate cable size so if you have a battery that,
Yes.
say you have a 100 amp hour battery and you want to charge it at 0.5 C at 50 amps, you better make sure that you got cables that can handle 50 amps, right? Or you're going to get a smoke show.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little
Right.
bit about how you size that stuff, Dennis?
With the batteries that are going to expect higher amps, I go up to the higher gauges. I think I use a 12 AWG for my 12 amp hour, and then 14 gauge for it might be a bit small for some people's tastes, but if you're going 20 amps, I think 14, you'll warm it up a little bit. But yeah, you're dealing with the 100 amp hour battery, so you're going to be throwing
Right.
some 1/0 gauge on there
Yeah.
for the high load stuff. If you're going to be using a heat gun or whatever, I've seen your tests. You use a heater and a combination of what was that?
Yeah.
It's hair dryer, yeah.
Hair dryer.
It's the Harbor Freight heat gun.
Chuck's
On
hair
high,
dryer.
on high, it pulls about 70 amps.
Yeah,
That's a big
so
hair
that's the
dryer.
problem. We as hams have settled on 12 volts,
Right.
but it just makes cabling so hard because
It's 70 amps DC side or 70 amps on the AC side? 70 amps on the AC side.
DC side.
DC side.
Yeah.
For the
From the battery.
heat gun.
Yeah. So like if
so
I have the
Michael-
battery going into the inverter and then the heat gun coming out of the inverter, if I measure the cable from the battery to the inverter and I turn the
70
heat
amps.
gun on, I'm getting around 70 amps.
Okay.
Michael wanted to know an ETA on your 12 amp hours. If
Those
he's on your site.
are, you have to reach out to me. I don't build those regularly. If you need one, just reach out and I'll talk with you and I'll get you an ETA on making one for you.
Can you explain this thing on here on Tio's got it pulled up? Why would I want that capacitor?
The row of
Oh,
capacitors.
that middle thing.
Yeah.
That's if you're heavy into building your own battery. Those active balancers are actually just another support mechanism for, like, let's say you have a lot of reused cells, and they have different capacities and different age. So if you just use a normal passive BMS, it's not going to really get the full potential out of those. Whereas this active capacitor, you put that on there in addition to the BMS, and it'll actually do some active draining and charging of the individual cells, so that you get a longer lifespan out of the use.
to
And
keep
so-
to keep them all reasonably at the same level.
Yeah. So just
Okay.
imagine you have a bunch of cells from different age groups, and then some of them are only going to deliver, like in this picture, those are 8 amp hour headways, right? Some of them are only going to give you 7 amp hours, and others are having the full 8. You don't want to just have the BMS cut it off at 7, and you're just stuck with this extra capacity that's not used. This little device is going to take some of that energy from all the 8s and feed it to the 7 so that they keep going, right? And then in the end, you're just kind of milking all the capacity out before it finally dies.
That's awesome.
And it also helps in reverse. When it's charging, it's going to take some of the cells just say, well, I'm done. And then a BMS would just say, okay, this whole set is done. But the active balancer is saying, oh, you're not quite done. All the rest are still charging. So I'm just going to take from you and give it to them and help them charge more. And, it just kind of equalizes everything so that you get as much as charge and as much discharge as you can.
Sweet.
Yeah.
People look at that and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. But if you're into battery building, it's really a cool invention.
Now, those headways, the one advantage to those for making your own batteries is they have screw top. You can screw all your plates to them, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if they're all that way, but I think I saw,
A lot of
I
them
think you
even
built
have
one, right?
bolts in them, and then you just get a bunch of,
Straps.
You get the nuts for them.
Right.
Greg Embry, thank you for the super
Thanks,
chat.
Greg.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Greg.
I just want to say, I know we've done battery stuff before, but battery stuff is something people, I think, you see this 3 or 4 times, and some people get it better. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? And it's really, anybody that does portable work, a battery is that's going to be the thing that gets you your time on the radio and stuff. So that's why we kind of go over this stuff again. And sometimes, I mean, people talk about how some batteries are just junk, but think about it. I mean, some batteries, all they got to do is get you on the air. It's not like life-saving stuff most of the time. So get what you can get. But Dennis's, I do recommend. Well, I'm going to recommend Dennis's. We're going to take this thing out. I'm going to try to get him to go with me, and we're
Don't
just
recommend
going
it just yet. Do your
Okay,
test.
yeah, I better not recommend it yet for what I'm using it for. I think for everything else, you're good.
But he
I'm gonna
said
thrash this thing.
it probably won't catch fire or nothing, mostly. So it's
Yeah, I'll
okay.
be in the forest, and I'll have to.
There's a high
Maybe I should bring a
probability.
shovel. Maybe I should bring a shovel.
High
One of those little-
probability it will or won't.
I'll bring
It
my
won't
pooper scooper
catch
shovel.
fire.
That's this light.
So Dennis, what
So-
makes a question I have? I've fooled around with RC stuff before, and drones, and they all use LiPo.
Mm-hmm.
How did hams get to LiPo, and what makes LiPo so much less dangerous than LiPos and all that?
There's 2 things.
Why the chemistry differences? I guess if you
Yeah,
you know, I
one
don't know.
is that people would use RC batteries, and they worked, but they would only provide 11 volts, right?
Okay.
The way the cells are, you can only do a 3 series, and so that goes to around 11.1 volts. If you do 4, then you're a little high. I think it's like 14.8, which some radios don't like at all. And
Yeah,
that's
don't
not-
use those, right? I mean, that's the moral
If you
of the
do
story.
a 4 series LiPo, it could go as high as 16.2 volts or something like that. So
Especially when you first charge it, right?
yeah, you don't want those ranges. So LiPo never really quite fit to the gear that we have. LiPo 4 is almost like a drop-in replacement for sealed lead acid, which is what
Right.
ham radios are kind of designed around in terms of voltage. So each of the cells is 3.2 volts, and you do times 4, you got about 12.8, which is kind of the perfect range.
Right.
Plus, and what you're hinting at is, if you want to see how fun it is to work with RC batteries, just stab one with a knife, and you're going to have a nice fire that you
Don't
can't
do
put
it.
out.
Just kidding. Don't do it.
Yeah.
So we have at work, we have all these little teeny Motorola HTs that we have in case there's an emergency, so we can talk to each other. And somebody brought me one that was in one of the offices that was, the back of it was all puffed out, and you couldn't get the battery case off. They left it sitting on a windowsill, and it's been sitting there for like 2 or 3 years, and the sun has
Wow.
been cooking the thing heating that battery up, and it was all blowed out and swelled up. I should have brought it
Yeah.
home for the show,
I
but
would.
I'm able to take it apart and get the battery.
I wouldn't
out.
have put that in my car.
I'll just leave it on the pad. I get to fling it out the window if it starts acting up.
Yeah, there you
Right?
go.
Yeah, but the reason, another safety reason that people do the life before is they actually. I was reading a research paper. It's extremely difficult to get them to do a thermal runaway, if not impossible. And
Okay.
thermal runaway is where the battery is kind of heating itself up and it's venting oxygen, and that oxygen feeds a fire, right? And
Exactly.
if the fire is, if that cycle if it reaches that threshold, that cycle actually just kind of makes it thermally explode, and the fire is just going out of control.
Yeah, that was
LiFePO 4 will vent, but they don't reach that level where the oxygen's being produced enough to create this explosive fire.
And I know,
And
I know,
so-
I know. On the lipos, I had a DJI battery that was swole up, like Ape's.
Yeah.
Like Ape's battery was swelled
No.
up.
I've had many a laptop that would swell.
I did. I had a MacBook, same thing.
Yeah.
And I discovered that if you use a wireless freedom seed dispenser, and that is as a receptacle for freedom seeds, it's quite entertaining.
Yes.
See you, Carlos.
It impressed the rednecks.
Well, see, like when I had that battery event, I was taking apart laptop batteries and getting the cells out, and they were LCRs, and just lithium-ion LCRs, and that's what I had them all. I got them out of the case, and I still had them all welded together, and somehow it shorted it out. And man, not even seconds. I mean, like milliseconds. Smoke is pouring out of these things. And you go into you don't expect it, right? So like when it happened, I had to change my pants afterwards. If you get my drift, and I was just like, "Holy crap!" But I was able. I was
Literally.
smart enough. I was smart enough
Literally.
to do the work in a
Okay.
tray that I had filled with dried rice, right?
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I got the sliding glass door open, and whoop, everything just went out in the yard until it calmed down.
Oh, this was at your house?
Over the lanai, into
Yeah,
the,
I mean,
over the
this
hot
was-
tub.
Sit right at my breakfast table, and
I'm
You
sure.
want to say magic smoke? Batteries
Did
have
Mrs.
a lot of
Did
magic
Mrs. Ape
smoke.
have some words to discuss with you about your safety?
oh yeah, the whole house. I mean, you could. It smelled like a chemical fire for like a
Oh
day and a
my
I
half.
bet it did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
bet
stuff
there
has
was
to go
chemical
away.
fire.
So,
So Vern Six
Dennis,
got a question about the explosion bag.
Yep.
And I actually have this cool thing that N6ARA showed me, because when he got his Denko, he was super paranoid and he put it in this like fireproof box when he first charged it. He's got experience with exploding batteries, so that's why he did that. He knew it was very unlikely to do, but it's just habit for him. It's called the Bat Safe, and it has a picture of a bat on it. And it's much like those explosion bags or those fireproof bags. A lot of people use like a 30 cal ammo can or anything that's pretty fireproof, and they charge their batteries
box.
first time just out in the open and just make sure everything's okay. Because of N6ARA, I now do initial charge on all of my batteries in that bat safe. Yeah, you got it up there now.
Oh,
And,
so you have one of these things?
Yes, I ordered one of those things, and
They're like professional and stuff.
it's not really necessary for life before, but why not, right? It's a cool box.
it
That was
looks
more for the
legitimate.
ions, right?
Steve, go to the bigger picture view and
Yeah, 1 second. Dropping a link for
Yes.
everybody. They can all be
So-
safety Sallys like us.
So
Right.
most of the time, it's the lithium ions, like for RC cars and stuff, that have the problem blowing
lipos,
up, right?
lithium-ion
The
phosphates.
So I got mine. Let me
Lipos.
see if I could get mine for you.
Now, and I guess lithium ions too. Maybe I don't know because I think
I
my
thought that was
Mac
what was
battery
in your. Yeah, because they
No,
have
the
problems
RC
with those.
stuff is RC stuff is usually lipo.
Oh, is
And
it?
I think the computer batteries are lithium ion.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I call them pillows or lipo pillows.
Yeah.
You look at them and they look kind of like little satin covered pillows.
That
Those
wanna
are the
kill
ones
you,
that are
that want to
going to
kill
blow
you.
up.
Yeah.
Well, like Joe Brett's
So
turd pod.
This is mine right here.
That's safe.
So you get a little thing here to
Oh, yeah.
fish your charging cable out of, and then I actually got one in there that was charging, but it fishes through here, and then
Looks like a little 6-pack cooler.
Oh, yeah.
And you lock it.
Little ice. And
You got a lock up there.
pack.
And so what's supposed to happen is if it does catch fire, it's just going to vent all the smoke out these holes, but it's going to
Those are vents. That's what those are. Just vents.
Yeah, so if you do that in a non-vented
Very
thing, you
evaporate.
do run a little bit of sploding. Like, so I used to do a lot of flashlight reviews, and one of the things I always tell people is that people, when they get a flashlight and say it does 1,000 lumens, they want to run it full bore, and those things get hot, right? And that's where you can get into those thermal overrun scenarios. When you take a waterproof flashlight and you put a cheap battery in there, you're making a pipe bomb, right? Because the thing is that it's waterproof, so it's completely sealed. If that battery vents, it generates pressure in the battery cavity, and there's no place for that pressure to go. And you can talk. So if you buy like a cheap flashlight that's made out of just aluminum, it's not anodized aircraft aluminum or whatever, and you put a cheap battery in there, it's dangerous. It's not exactly a safe thing to be playing around with.
So storing all my drone batteries in a 50 caliber ammo can with the hatch closed is
If it's a steel can, I would definitely not do
it's a
that.
steel can.
I wouldn't do
That's
it.
where my chargers are. My chargers are in one of those.
Now I like this this one that Steve popped up here. This is
This one
pretty
comes
cool.
from Vern6. He says he can fold this thing up and stick it in the ammo can next to his charger, so he's got kind of a battery charging safety go box kind of deal there.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think it hurts to do this. I mean, you're not going to hurt anything as far as it's just being safer, right?
Right. Well, for lipos, and Dennis, I'd like Dennis to speak to this a little bit too. For lipos, they're telling you don't want to store it completely discharged, and you don't want to store it charged. You want to store it at about 75%
Cheers, Ed. Or
capacity.
Dan.
But the same is not the case
Whoa.
for LifePo 4. That's for lipos that I've understood. Is that Dennis?
I can't. I haven't really researched the lipo storage.
Okay.
I've had batteries that I just ignored them, and then lipo batteries, and then I'm like, oh crap, this thing was probably dead, and then it would charge back just fine. But it's probably not good. Lipo
Okay.
4 it has a very slow self discharge rate, so you can actually put them away for months, and they'll still
Yeah.
have pretty reasonably the charge that you had when you started.
I've
That's
got a
not safe.
cycle bunch of batteries, which
Now,
is a
Faith-
pain.
For storage of LiPo 4, you're actually not supposed to store them at full charge, right? If you're going to store it for months at a time.
Yeah. You might want to get them down to like maybe 70 or 50%. And
What's the best way to
Which
do
is
that?
strange for batteries, Best way to do it, just use it, right?
So
Maybe not
is the
charge
way
it until you go the next time.
Thump is a
I
witness,
have used them though. I store them fully charged.
I do
For
too.
years.
They're tools.
Because
You-
because I know if I don't charge it when I get home, the next time I go out, I'll forget to charge it most likely.
I also had
there's that
a
possibility.
pair of the Dakota lithium batteries, which is a great company, Dakota Lithium.
Right.
Their batteries, they sell a 10 amp hour one that looks like a motorcycle battery. And I actually discharged those in a Go box, and I didn't see them for like a year and a half. And then they came out, they were 100% dead. They didn't even want to take a charge initially. I had to do the kind of like the jump start with low volts to get them
Right.
alive again. But after that, charged up just fine.
Would you hit them with 12.8? Is that what you said?
I think I just initially started with the low volts, and I just started cranking it up slowly until they started accepting so just to wake up the BMS or whatever was on there.
Yeah, I had a battery that I had an inverter, and so if I turned the inverter on, it would kill the battery because the surge to fill up the capacitors, which is pretty crappy design of the inverter. So anyhow, I kept killing this battery, and the only way I could get the battery to come back to wake up the BMS is to hit it with 12.8.
Yeah, I had that problem on my motorcycle too. It ran down to where the BMS turned it off, and I thought the battery was bad. This is when I first had a lithium battery, and I was like, man, this thing didn't last very long. Well, one day I'm trying to charge it. I can't even get the charge. One day I hook it up to, let me just hook it up to I had solar out, so I hooked it up to my solar panel, and I guess it jolted enough, and all of a sudden, boom, it came back on. Then I researched a little bit, and you do have to do something like that sometimes to to get it to come back on. I think my charger, my Victron charger, will actually, I don't know how it does it. It turns them back on. Or the battery I hooked it to was high tech.
See, this kind of stuff makes me nervous.
High tech.
Well, I just would be concerned about the innards, and then I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, I don't know about that.
My actual favorite discharge method, besides using the battery, is the CBA battery analyzer, because then you can actually get a profile on the battery.
Right.
So those can go up to, I think, what is it, like 10 amps or something like that?
Yeah. So I've done discharge tests higher than that, and mine kept turning off because it was getting super hot. So I do a discharge test at 10 amps, which on a 100 amp battery is 0.1 C.
So 10 hours.
Yeah, and people were like, "You're supposed to discharge it at 0.2," and I'm like, "Well, go watch another video then. You go watch a cat video or
I
something."
got mine right here.
Yeah, mine's around here somewhere. I don't know where it is.
This
I
is
got the cheaper one. It'll do 10
CBA.
amps.
This is a CBA 3. I found it on eBay. They're very hard to get now because they're out
Yes,
of
they
stock
are.
all the time.
Yeah.
But it has this fan and this little, radiator fins to take away the heat, and it's a resistive drain. But really great. You hook it up to your computer, you download their software, you get these cool graphs. There you go.
I've pointed a
one up at you.
Yeah, I pointed a fan at this to keep it cool when I'm doing discharge tests sometimes because it does get warm. Even though it's got a fan, I put another fan to blow air.
If you
through
don't
it.
want to spend that
and
much, this one works pretty good too.
The one that
It's
Chuck has
way
is a
cheaper.
very popular one. I think even Will Prowse uses that.
He
and-
actually recommended these. I mean,
Yeah,
at one
it's
time.
quite nice. Just
And
the only thing
it'll
is
do
you don't
10
get
amps.
you don't get the fancy,
Computer.
It
graph.
doesn't data. Yeah, it doesn't data log.
Well, what's nice about it though is that because I have the same one that Chuck has, it has all the USB ports on the side of it.
Yeah, it does.
So like if you wanted to do a test on like a battery bank that you bought like an Anchor or something like that,
Right.
it works really well for that.
This is the one. This is the charger that I have. So it works fine, and nothing's caught the shop on fire. I mean,
Yeah.
How many amps?
Whatever it says.
I don't see it there anywhere.
6 amps.
6 amps?
Tio, do a search for NOCO.
Oko.
I love NOCO. So I have the
Noco I have is actually a jump starter.
yeah,
that you
I have that.
mine.
I have that in the
like
car.
for your car, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in case my battery dies in the car.
I think that's the one I have. Yeah, I've got one of the jump starter things too.
I started
I
carrying a
believe
jump
it's the
starter on
same
the
one.
Harley. Because my buddy his went dead.
Probably
You
carry
cannot
a
push
wrench
start
and
them.
some oil for the Harley too.
No, it's actually, they're more reliable than a Beamer, a BMW motorcycle. So
That's
Yep,
the one I use.
That's
right
the one I
there.
got. Yep. Same
that's
one.
it. You got that one too?
But this is just a charger. This isn't the jump starter.
Noco
Right.
Genius 10. Yep.
Smart car battery charger.
I was talking with someone at the pavilions at the Huntsville Hamfest, and he was talking about how he was taking all his power tool batteries at 20 volts and DC to DC converting them to 12 with some kind of a holder, I guess, or an adapter that you can fit onto them.
Yeah, they
It
make
comes
them.
out
You
with
can run
lead.
off of Amazon.
And I thought that was pretty ingenious. I mean, no one has to really worry about all this ham battery stuff. Just use your power tool batteries and convert it down
Right.
to
Well,
12.
the nice thing about them too is they charge fast. You know, like the little Power Wheels for kids. You know, the little kids' toys or your little Jeeps and stuff. They're converting them to those because
And then I
to
was
charge
like,
the
well,
battery that comes with
dude.
those things takes like hours, and you can, 10 hours to charge them.
Yeah.
And the power tools, you can do it, some of them in 30 minutes.
Yeah. I was like, thanks, guy. Dude, you basically just invalidated my whole company idea.
Yeah.
I don't need to do this.
I'll show you
Everyone needs
offline
power tool
those things.
batteries.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, you're
they're-
putting out these bespoke batteries.
Bespoke artisanal.
Say that
battery.
again.
Bespoke, right? And that
Does that mean fancy? What does that mean in Nebraska?
it means custom, right?
They're gluten free. Yeah.
Are they
Gluten-free, yeah.
GMO free? That's the question I
Non-GMO.
have.
They're completely vegan.
100%. Well, they're not organic certified, but I'm working on that certification.
So it's transitional at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not totally organic. I don't know if there's any more. Do you guys see any more questions in the chat for anything?
I
These
have.
guys got it. They got it, man. Yeah, I mean,
Equals fancy. Yep.
eventually,
Yeah, Lee, you got that
lithiums
right.
are going to. I think eventually, lithium batteries are going to replace the lead acids for a lot of things. The only thing I'm not seeing them for starting for your cars and stuff right now. They do make them. I have one for my motorcycle. Not totally impressed with it for that. It was supposed to have way more cranking amps. It doesn't seem any better. But when I hook my little jumper up to it, oh my gosh, that thing spins fast. But that's two
That's
batteries.
one
so.
area where we need to see improvement is sealed lead acid still has the cold cranking amps advantage to lithiums at this point. I've seen high, just look at headways, right? I've seen high amp lithium
Discharge.
iron phosphate. It's just, they just need to make it in the size of a car battery. And then you don't have to change your car battery every 6 years. You can do it every 20 years, right?
Right.
6 years.
I've got one of my
you must
dirt.
be in California. Bless your
I
heart.
got one of my dirt. Oh shoot, my truck batteries were like 8 or 9 years the first time, and actually
Wisconsin battery,
still
year
now.
and a half, 2 years. You're
Yeah.
lucky.
Oh, you're going the other way. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you guys
Yeah.
get that freezing cold all the time.
Oh, yeah, battery
Actually,
works
cold
great
is-
all summer long, and then there's like 3 days in the winter you can't start your car.
And it's not so much the battery. It's because your oil's so thick, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's why they put those heaters on those. You guys, actually, did you run a heater in your vehicles? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, a
I
lot
have
of people
one on my truck, but I never did it. So
will look at the price of a sealed lead acid battery and then
Yeah,
compare
right.
it to lithium ion of the same alleged same capacity,
Right. You can't do that.
and say, "Oh, well, these are cheaper, and I'm just starting out, or I'm doing whatever," and they end up going with the SLA. I think that I'd have to have a pretty compelling reason to get an SLA these days over a lithium battery, because like you could 100 amp hour SLA is probably close to price comparable to a 50 amp lithium ion, right, or lithium like
and they're
PO4.
kind of equal. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're equal, and plus the lithium is going to be a fraction of the weight if you're going to tote that thing around at all. You know what I mean?
Well, I lost 2 battery weights in my motorhome, and I can tell you it's flat out 4 to 5 years max on lead acids in my motorhome, almost to the month, And like I said, I found one that was exploded in there one time, which I mean any battery can explode, so I'm not saying lithiums won't, but the weight thing is a big thing difference. Like my dirt bike, I put one on my dirt bike because you want to have it light, right? I probably lost a couple pounds on a small battery, or a pound, just right there. And I noticed a lot of guys are doing that on a lot of the newer adventure bikes. They're changing the big old lead acid battery to try to get the weight down on that bike, And that is the main.
A lot of
main
people
advantage.
they're starting off in ham radio, or even been around for a while, but then you get a new rig, and you're like, oh man, now I got to spend an extra $150, $200 on a freaking Lifeboat 4
Right.
battery. That's the cool
Right.
in thing to do. I'll just get this car battery, or
Right.
whatever. I'll convert my my power tools down to.
Well, you
the
need
12
deep cycle, right? For that. That's the
Right.
other thing is a lot of times people try to use a car battery, which is the cranking amps,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's not built for that continuous draw.
Yeah.
It'll work,
And,
but you'll kill it sooner.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll work, but I mean, they're not made to discharge.
Yeah,
They're made to
and-
discharge to start your car, and that's it.
Yeah, Boomer's making a really good point here. Is unable to justify hundreds of dollars for batteries. I have a 12 amp hour battery that I got from Lead Time, and I think it was like $30, something like that. And I keep it on my desk because I use it. Let's see if I got it right here.
Oh, that's Ampere Time. They changed their name.
Yeah, to Lead Time.
Where's Chip Chop, son? We got a live show going on here.
Jim will turn you off. He's
Calm
gonna
your
turn you
pants.
off.
This thing right here, and it was less than $30. I mean, it was around $30. And I'm not saying this is the world's best battery or anything like that, but I can power my radios on it, and I mostly use it just on the desktop for if I have to test something or power something up. It's just
It'll
got
get
it
you
all
on the air,
power
and you
pulled.
can operate for quite a while on 100 watts, right?
well, and it's light. This thing probably weighs like 3 pounds.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
the same thing, Ape. I've got like a 16-hour My Lady battery that's my
His
bench,
lady.
my bench
My
power
lady.
supply kind of deal.
Well, I just charge this off of my I have a Unity variable bench supply,
Unit.
or off my MFJ. I'll just plug it in here, just charge it up. Super easy.
It's handy to have a little battery on the desk sometimes. I mean, when you're
Yeah.
testing.
Oh, for
stuff.
sure, for sure.
I've got your little thing
I
you
think
gave
what's
me.
the
The
most funny is I'll be working on a battery
MFG.
and it's pretty much done. I just need to solder a few more things. So I will switch the connection of the battery itself to power the TS100 soldering iron to finish itself, right? Like I'm working on the battery with its own power to finish it.
That's
That's
pretty
awesome.
meta, son.
So
Yeah.
Ape is Boomer's asking you about. You talk about AGM batteries, those little ones, or do you have
Yep.
like
No,
a
this
6
is-
amp hour Milady?
Oh no. Yeah.
This is
a lithium.
this is a lithium. Let's see if I can get it over here.
Right.
when you start looking at AGMs now, from what Will Pross says, if you're going to do solar, you should be at least in a lead acid. You should be using an AGM. When you start looking at the price of an AGM versus a lithium battery, there's not a big difference, and your life expectancy makes up that difference because they're 10 years plus. Is
Right.
what they're saying. And I think a AGM, like about 4 years for a lead acid, and AGM's like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I bought
And
a
I've never done
wheelchair.
that, but
I bought a wheelchair battery, and it was expensive, and it was heavy as crap. And,
yeah.
it's still sitting upstairs. It's deader than a doornail. The other one is that with the AGMs, you really have to be mindful because they have a higher self-discharge rate. And if you don't perform maintenance on the battery, you can kiss that thing goodbye.
Yeah. And I think that was Dennis mentioned that earlier. The self-discharge rate on a LifePro 4 is like negligible.
Very small. Very
Yeah.
small.
Well, what will kill your batteries in like RVs is if you have some kind of a short, you leave something on and it goes all the way to dead. That will kill that thing way faster. Which is kind of cool about the lithiums. They won't do that because of the management. It has a management system in it. It'll take it down to where it's
off
safe.
before it shuts
and it
off.
shuts off. I've run into that a few times when something got left on, and hopefully that problem's taken care of with this lithium. But hey, you get whatever you can, whatever works for you, and what you
just
what you can afford
really got to
to.
think the long game. I mean, Todd TR1W there said most LifePro 4 are 10 years to 80%.
Right.
We'll keep going after that. That's why I abuse my batteries because they last so long. It's like they're actually beyond what I can predict I will be using them for. And I imagine
Ape did the math one day. It was like 30 or 40 years or something.
yeah, if you take good care of it, it will be a long time. And I imagine I'll have new batteries by the time 5 years rolls around. So it's not like I'm preserving this for some kind of like, special reason. I'm going to abuse the hell out of them, get what I can out of them, and they'll be cheaper in the future. And, there might even be a new technology to make that.
Yeah,
even
I would
longer.
imagine there's going to be some new chemistries coming out soon, right?
Yeah.
With everybody looking at the lithium's a difficult thing to mine, is my understanding.
Didn't they
Whereas
just find like a big
the
deposit of it
acid,
someplace?
You are thinking about lifespan. You know, like Theo with his 1 year lifespan, or some of us with our 6 year lifespan. It's still short enough that we're just like, I got to take good care of this battery because I don't want it to be gone too soon. You don't really have to do that with lithium.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is an awkward pause.
Well, Vern's asking about charging in below freezing, and that's definitely not good for your battery. And higher end ones will come with a protection circuit that stops that. But there's also batteries that you can, if you leave them charged at some capacity, they have heaters inside of them, so you can turn the heater on, and then the battery will warm. Yeah, the battery will warm itself up, and then you can start charging.
Yeah, you can actually add the heaters.
That's the one thing. If you watch Will Pross, that's one thing he always talks about is
Yep.
low temp cutoff for LifePro 4.
Exactly. But if you have solar, you can also do it with your solar controller also. So it's not.
You
It's
don't
not
wanna
like if it
charge
doesn't come with it,
LifePro
it's not the last thing. You can
That's the
still
one
add it.
caveat is it will damage your battery. If you
Wow,
charge it
Smokey.
below.
That was loud, son.
Well,
What flavor you got today? Banana raspberry coulis?
this is mixed berry.
Still on the mixed berry.
I asked the guys, like, look, you got bacon cheeseburger or barbecue? And he
Pizza.
didn't have.
Fruity
he didn't have
vape.
this flavor.
You know,
Miller
you'd be
Lite
stuck on
flavor.
that thing all the time then if it was that.
Miller Lite
Come
flavor.
on, bacon. I don't know what 45
But
stuff. He asked
talking
about
about Will
Norway.
Prouse, he he's kind of evolved. He's not into like these little batteries anymore. That guy deals on a scale of like powering a warehouse now. So
Oh, he's in those batteries that like you buy in a big box
Yeah.
and they just install
and
it.
he
Those
also
are actually
has
those
a
are pretty
rack
cool.
mount. He's a
Rack
48
mounts.
volt guy. He's charging his Teslas with them. He's just evolved beyond what we.
Well, he's got like I was watching one of his videos, and he had multiple kilowatts of solar that he was capturing with just 100-watt panels. I mean, just rows and rows and rows of them.
Yeah, he's got like an air conditioning system, a heater air conditioning, the split systems that has its
Yeah.
own battery bank and its own solar. And during the day it runs off the solar, and at night it runs off of the battery bank. I mean, it's crazy the stuff that guy does. Super smart guy. I got his book actually.
All right, Don is asking a question, and this is an interesting question, especially when you live in the Southeast.
Yeah.
Well, or California or Texas or
I think
the whole
it's
southern tier. What could that be a problem?
You don't want to do it for long periods, like the whole summer. You don't want to do something like that. But some of the specs I read on these cells I get, they're okay to 140 degrees.
Right.
I know cars can get hotter than that, but 140 degrees storage temperature. I
Keep
think
it low.
the same for operating temperature. It's like 140 degrees or something like that. It's not
So
good for the battery, of course, but it's
Will it
it's
cause
not.
it to degrade its performance or its
I would
function?
imagine so if it's over a long period of time. But it's the same thing. Like people ask me about building batteries by soldering the bus bars between the cells. You can do it, but putting a soldering iron on a terminal of a battery for like 20 seconds to get that solder to set it's not good for the battery, right?
Well, the heat builds resistance in the battery, and so then when you
Yeah.
have battery degradation, it's because of resistance buildup, and it slows the flow from anode to cathode. I think is the way it goes. Did I say that
You're
right?
basically fundamentally changing the internals of the battery by
Yeah.
applying that much, and so I don't recommend it. But it's not the worst thing in the world. Your battery's not going to die because of that.
Don, I would just leave the car running with the AC on, bro.
Yeah,
Right.
just leave it.
Forget
Save
it.
the batteries.
Turn on that dog mode.
Keep the battery down low on the floor too. I mean that there is a difference in temperature in your car. I mean I've had stuff like water bottles laid on the floor when it was hot out and they were still,
You can put a wet towel.
super hot.
Put a wet towel on it.
I'll take this question. Lee is asking, why are travel trailer batteries mounted outside and they use LiFePO 4? Lee, it's because the people that manufacture travel trailers are complete idiots and they don't actually use their product and they have no clue what they're doing.
It's all about
There we
weight
go.
and
Why
place
do
to put it.
high-end ham radios not have HDMI cables? There you go. Same issue.
Same answer.
My
it
batteries
should
are
go
mounted in a
inside.
compartment, so mine actually are. Mine do have a little bit of protection from the elements because mine are in an actual compartment. It's all the doors on my motorhome are actually insulated.
And that's how they get
So-
you, Thump.
Actually, that's a damn good point because I got one of those jumper boxes too. Mine's
There's because you can make them smaller, and I think the burst better on something like
Well,
that.
the real little ones are actually just banks of capacitors. There's not even a battery in them at all.
Right. I got to take a look at mine. I know mine's been sitting in the back of the Jeep for 2 years. And I've been praying for somebody to have a dead battery so I can flex. But
I work with a
They
bunch of
won't work.
women. There's probably
I got
one every
this.
month.
right, but I
Hey,
stand
Bruce,
back. Watch
I
me.
got this for you.
Watch my
I'll
trickery.
tell you what. It's a whole
I'm
lot
a
better than
trained
messing with
professional.
jumper cables, right? You just bring
Yeah,
the
for
battery
sure.
back up there,
and if somebody's giving you a jump, you got to make sure they know what they're. I always
don't
hook up my own stuff.
Right, I do my own. Thank you. I'll wire this
Yes.
up. You may go now.
Yes.
Get in your car and don't touch nothing yet.
You can hook it to your car, and I'll look at what you do first.
Yeah.
Right, that kind of thing. I did that for years, so I don't. Yeah, those. I'm doing a video right now on a solar generator, and it has LiFePO 4s in it, and there's reasons to like that. It's because of that. It's a little heavier than what I'm going to compare it to, and a little bigger, but I'll give up those points for longer life.
Liberty makes a good point.
Don't read it. We'll get demonetized.
I'm not going to read it. So,
Don't read it.
actually, other than the part about the thing, that I'm not going to say the word.
They don't say the word.
it's a very good point, because with all the glass, even with tint in that, it's going to heat up a lot more inside the car. So
Right.
long-term storage, leave it in the trunk. It'll at least insulate it some from direct radiant heat.
See, I've got a Jeep. I don't have a trunk, and it's
Oh, you got a
well,
trunk.
I got a black roof. Inside of that thing gets hotter than hell in the summertime.
Right.
I mean, like to the point where I open up the doors on the
I
side
actually
and let
I
it
wanted to
vent.
do some like air circulation in a hot summer day, so I actually made this this 3D printed fan that gets turned on by one of those thermal switches. So if it gets above 90 degrees, it would activate, and it was hooked up to a 12-volt LiFePO4. It got so hot in the car that the 3D print melted. So
Right.
it just
Yeah,
like
you
the
gotta be
whole
careful
thing
with those.
kind of just slid off of the window. And
My
ended
wife
up
bought some of
failing.
those like 20 or 30 years ago from one of them mail order Fingerhood or something. I don't know.
Fingerhood.
That
Yeah.
it wasn't 3D printed, not 30 years ago, but it clamped on the window or between
Yes.
the window and then it would cool your car.
Yeah,
was
it doesn't
a
do
piece
shit.
of crap. It didn't move
good
enough.
idea.
It didn't move enough air to piss off a mosquito. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like
It was
that
it was a
isn't
good
gonna do
idea, but
nothing.
for $1, it probably wasn't very good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she
S-
paid $15.99 a piece for these things.
Oh,
Boomer
wow.
saying he's got an Element. So I had an Element before the Jeep, and I love that thing. Really nice, really nice car if you like do camping and stuff like that. I used to
Hose it out?
Yeah, I used
It's
to
like
sleep in the back
little
of
van
mine. Like
looking thing.
I could fold the seats down and then fold them up, and then I had a huge area in the back where I could actually sleep in the car. I really miss having that Element. I wish Honda would make those again.
I had too
And
many
then
They
kids.
quit
then
making
our-
them.
Our friend Darren says this is the most boring episode ever. I'm sorry, Darren. I apologize. There are plenty of cat videos on YouTube. You can check those
Yes.
out.
We've got 125 other people that are watching that are interested. So
Right.
we'll be
128,
okay. But
son.
Darren,
no
128.
one wants to hear about
Tell
that.
us what you want, Darren. We'll make the next one for you.
And Darren,
Yeah.
you're watching it, so thank you. 'Cause,
Yes,
I
thank
mean,
you.
did we
You're
feed
watching
the
it.
attention? Did you get the attention you needed with that comment? Did we satisfy you there?
Darren, this is an e-ticket ride. You got to be this tall. All hands and feet must be inside, and your tray tables in their full and upright lock position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like batteries are a boring subject. Come on.
I
don't
think
know.
we should go
I'm
down
nerdy.
to McDonald's and make fun of him while he's at work.
Yeah. I think making
LC,
hamburgers is boring.
LC, you instigating some bitch. but I had to.
Nice.
But I had to post it. It was gold. Thank you.
no.
Thank you, Rick. That was
Look at
funny.
that one.
That's the one I just had up there.
Hold on now. Hold on. I meant
But he
this
liked
one.
it so
All
much.
right, Clicky McClickerson.
Uh-oh.
Darren is going to send us a sternly worded comment on our video today.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
isn't it funny how Darren rhymes with Karen?
Wow.
Ouch.
Okay, Darren.
Oh boy.
Oh,
We'd offer everybody a.
Hang on. One
Hang
second.
on.
Let me find it. This one.
You got one more in there. Thank you, Vern.
Vern.
Vern. Thanks, Vern.
Burns the man.
What's up with Six? He's got a new video on his channel. He's been promoting it all over the Discord. His lovely wife had jumped out of an airplane. I do not understand why.
Right.
Carlos
You'd have to
threw her
push
out
me.
of an airplane, or they went out together, I guess. But she decided she was leaving the airplane, and Carlos could come along or not. And Vern and Renee was just very excited about it at Hamvin.
Not only would I not jump out of that plane, I wouldn't get in the damn plane to start with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, that'd be the easiest way to not do it, right?
Could you imagine having Carlos strapped to your back, Ape?
Nope.
no.
You just stand up and his legs are just
You'd be the
dangling.
little. You'd be the little spoon.
I'd have to get like one of those like baby Bjorns. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
right.
just
There you go.
put it on backwards. So strap him on there. I
him
would
on the
never
front.
even think
Ape
about
comes
doing
out the
that.
plane. Hey, Carlos, hand me a Miller Lite, would you?
Oh, get out of here! Look at Vern.
Oh, she's
So
going to
he's-
get her own jump license.
She's gonna get her own jump license.
Wow.
She don't
That's
want
awesome.
Carlos slowing her down, right? Get the Mexican off my back. I got to jump by myself.
Whoa, whoa.
That's amazing.
Well, he's not Mexican, so it's okay.
He's not Mexican.
I know, but
that's
his
right.
company name is Mexican Jumping Bean, so I mess
Right.
with.
Oh, that's
him
right.
about
Oh, that's right. It
Yes.
is.
that. I know
is
he's not
strange.
Mexican. He's Puerto Rican.
Right.
I don't know, man. I think it's nuts. I just think it's absolutely insane to do that, but that's just me.
I mean, I could probably do it if the plane was going down. Hopefully, I'd find out soon enough.
Les.
Thank you,
Les,
Les.
Thank
Hey,
you,
Les.
Les.
Thanks, Les.
Got it, Abe?
GCHSW.
I got it. And what is
Want
it? What
it?
is that? Is that pounds or sterling
That's
pounds? What is
pounds,
that?
yeah.
L.
That's
Pounds
pound sterling,
sterling.
so that's like
$5.
$10.
£5 right there.
Five
Dennis
quid.
got
Thank you, mate.
Dennis
Kinda
has
Yes,
some
slipped
special
Aussie
magic
on that
going
one.
on. He doesn't get muted during the promos there. And
Yeah,
Les
what's
looks like
going
he's a
on?
well-grounded man inside of a steam engine, so he's not going to be jumping out of any airplanes.
Nice.
Foamer alert.
I don't know. Did anybody else hear the guy from Mexico City yesterday? That guy was just booming everywhere. He's like S9 plus
yeah, I
10
think I heard that
yesterday.
one.
I finally got him. He went off. He had a phone call. He came back and he was pointed. He said he's pointed to Europe, and he was still S9 to me. And I finally got him with my little 150 watts. And, well,
Andy,
plus whatever the
Other
antenna does.
Andy and I attempted a amplifier QSO last night,
I couldn't see that.
and
had
we
to look
were
it on my
we
computer.
were successful.
Yeah.
And when he got his wiring and everything straight on his end, there might have been a Carlos dummy load issue on Andy's side.
Oh, boy, Andy. There you go.
He did
Wow,
it.
Andy.
He did it. Because I'm like, dude, you got that amp on? Because I can't. I mean, I was barely
hear
hearing
nothing.
some random voice, right? Like maybe I was dreaming. And then when Andy found the go switch, it was like, well, now, son, you loud and clear.
And then he's like, he goes, yeah, I've got it hooked up. He goes, but for some reason my dummy load's smoking.
Well,
I'm melting
he
the
is a
dummy
flex
load.
owner. He is a flex owner. There you
Right.
go.
He is. That's right. Oh, that's right.
fancy.
So
So is
it was
Adam
kind of
Dennis.
like a reunion for you, huh, Jim?
Well,
Hearing
he's-
your old
he bought-
radio
He
again.
bought my 6300. That's right.
What amp does he have?
I think he has an 811. Andy, if you're in the chat, drop that in there.
811.
I believe he's got an
I
811
just
or
saw you put up that question by
811H.
K7ULM. How long of battery life do you really need? I don't quite get the question.
It
he's
depends
saying
on
we're
what
all-
you're doing, right?
He's
Four
saying we're all-
contacts on soda.
We're gonna
That's- that's what
before
Javi
the
says.
battery runs out of juice.
Yeah, I
But it
mean,
just depends on what you're going to do and how much you're going to use
how
it
long
on.
of battery life you need. You got to measure how light of a battery you want to carry and how long you want to operate. So if you're doing this for MCOM, you want the most power you can do because you don't know how long you're going to be out there.
And you could hook solar to it or something to
Yeah.
prolong.
But if you're doing it for an activation, just like Chuck, then yeah, all you need is like 20 minutes and you're good.
Yeah, we're
That's
all
how fast
American.
Chuck
We
can-
need the biggest battery we can get. That's all the way that works.
It takes me 20 minutes just to tune my antenna. So I don't. I like
Well-
big batteries.
On soda, if you don't spot, it can take some calling to get somebody out there. I was actually pretty lucky last time. And then I made one or two contacts, and then Javi spotted me. It was like, no problem getting your 4, you know. I actually cheat sometimes. I got some friends I know where they hang out, and I contact them first. So I get 2 to 3 contacts right there, which is legal. I mean,
When you say hang out, you
I'm
mean
hunting.
like behind the 7-Eleven, or do you mean like on the?
Yeah, with the radios. I'm here at the 7-Eleven today
In
with
high
my
school. I mean, I don't
my
know.
FT-DX10. I got it mounted up on top of the
Lion J
the,
hanging out next to
the
the
garbage box here,
Hey,
the
how's it
dumpster.
going?
Those dumpsters are perfect height to put your radio if
The
you're
Bucky's
standing. You know?
bathroom. Is that what
Hang out at the truck stop bathroom.
Yeah.
selling USB cable? I got USB
By
I've
the
got to
way,
learn how
right
to.
here.
I just
Uh
dropped
oh.
some.
Oh, I got to learn how to
Dennis.
do my own self spotting with an HT because Javi does that. Yes, I need to learn that from him. I'm usually
Dennis,
busy
what the
making
hell is
contacts. I don't know.
going
What
on,
did you
son?
do?
What they'll do,
got a
Chuck,
cover.
is an APRS. They'll
My
send an
battery.
APRS
Never
signal
mind.
or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah,
Speaking of
which doesn't
APRS,
that doesn't always work. So
I was super duper tempted. So Joe Brett just got the FD5D, and that really made me want one. I did not do it, but I was very much tempted to
I need to
get
start
one.
carrying my 3 on those soda things because I can do it with that probably.
Our friend KM4ECK says that the screen size on the 5D is the same as the screen size on your 500. So you're already there.
Yeah,
And your
right,
300
basically.
and your 3D same. I think the screen's the same on the 3D, right? I think they changed it on the 3.
I don't know.
Big head, small
It
screen.
went to color. Did it go to color or something after one of the models? I forget. I can't keep
It's
up
a
with that
it's a
stuff.
better looking screen than the 400,
2 is black and white. The 3 and the 5 are color, I believe.
as is
Yeah.
the 4.
The 4. I
Was there
always forget
4
about
too?
the 4.
I thought they skipped 4.
It's like
Didn't they skip the
FT4Ls
4?
or something.
Are we talking about the HTs or are we talking about the 400,
HTs.
300,
HTs.
500 radios?
HTs.
HT.
And listen, we're not going to talk
There's
about
no 4.
we're not going to talk about Dennis's gimp mask that he's got hanging on the wall behind him. I don't.
Take a look at that, man.
And the spare hand.
Does that make you feel uncomfortable?
Dennis has made some
A
battery
little bit.
mistakes in the past. He's got a prosthetic
You
hand
know
now.
Thing from
Yes.
Adam's Family? Yeah. It's a nice
Thing,
3D
yeah.
print.
Thing was the most popular guy on that show.
Ryan, how far away are you? Because I need a POTA fix. I'm in Vidalia.
You got side boom down there too, right?
Oh yeah, side boom.
Yeah.
Bring out Ham Force
There
1.
you go. It's Saturday, so
It is ridiculously hot out here.
Boomer, if
Yeah,
you're
you-
trying to do a super chat, I'm not sure what the.
That's his fake super chat.
he's trying to.
Rouge. Oh,
He's,
you're pretty
he's pulling a
close.
Darren. Pulling a Darren.
Well, we probably should talk about wrapping it up, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, you got to make water.
Oh, we're
I
getting
did.
there.
I did midstream.
Is that when you had to bail? Emergency
I'm-
pee.
He
I
made
have a bathroom. I have a
screen.
bathroom right
Green.
Oh,
there.
so you're good now, huh?
Blow the
I'm
same
better.
fields. I got to go.
I got pressure building up again, but
Pressure building.
yeah,
very sure my
I drank a
dog
big
choking
old Mountain
back there.
Dew before the show started, and that doesn't have to stop to change color. So
Oh man.
Right.
I had to stop mid show.
We do appreciate everybody showing up today, and hopefully it wasn't too boring for some guys
Yeah.
there.
Extremely boring.
Hopefully we all learned something, right? I always learn when I talk to Dennis. There was different things this last
Thank
week.
you very
but,
much for having me on the show again. It's
Yeah,
always great talking with you four.
we're just surprised you got up so early.
Yeah, I had to set an alarm for you, Chuck, and I didn't drink last night.
Oh, sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, sorry you
Sops.
didn't get to do everything. You can do it tonight.
Yeah.
We won't be on tomorrow. How's that?
So Boomer's asking, how do you do a super chat? Right at the bottom of the chat screen, there are a couple of icons, and one of those is a $sign. Click the $sign. There's a couple of choices: one for a super sticker, one for a super chat. It's a different spot than the spot where Chuck's dog is currently having trouble.
It's about the same spot on the computer, but we're a little guy. So yeah. So we do
Dennis,
appreciate you
I'm
guys
serious
showing.
about that kit, son. As soon as you get,
Uh-oh.
I want to be on number 1 on the list because we're ham
Hey,
bros.
could you
okay.
send me the 6600 right before you do it, or
He's
have
not
it
gonna
set
put
up
the
so your wife can send
6600
it to
on
me?
there.
I'm not sending
No,
you
no,
the
no.
6600.
No, I'm talking. He's going to be messing
Oh,
with
that-
batteries. He's messing with batteries. You know, maybe get the everything rolling towards my place.
He's planning on smoking
Oh.
the 706
This
on
is
that.
no
He's not
dollar
gonna-
sign.
Probably.
Also, that's interesting.
No dollar sign?
Let's see.
Mine chose a dollar sign.
I wonder if he has to be a subscriber.
If you pop out the chat, you don't have the.
That's what I'm thinking, because I've got
Oh
the
yes,
same
yes.
thing.
Oh,
You gotta
it has to
restore.
be on the
You gotta
chat.
restore the chat to do the super
Yeah,
chat.
yeah.
Super chat. Yep.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you,
Great
great
man.
man.
There's a
Hello.
little, there's a
Great
little
man.
fake next to it is the $sign.
Timmy.
He did ask us to dance. And I think when he said baby, he actually specifically meant Jim.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. And Todd says he's at work. He's in the
Todd
salt
says
mine.
he's
right
already
now.
promised to him, man. I don't believe it.
Nice.
So,
Well, thank you, Dennis.
Todd.
Definitely appreciate
Todd.
the conversation.
Saw a
today.
comment. Andy was asking when the podcast is coming back. I got a bunch of people lined up. Got to get those interviews done, and then
Yeah.
Liberty.
I
Kid
just listened to Mike.
Don on the show, and I would love to have Don on the show. We had breakfast with that guy every morning of Hamfest.
Everywhere but the last. We missed him the last morning. I think we were too late.
Yeah,
He was on the
He's,
road early.
I will reach out to Don definitely. He's a man of much knowledge.
How does his mic stay unmuted during these?
Because
Thank
he
you,
is
LC.
awesome.
I don't know because he's the guest.
I guess.
I don't know. I have superpowers because I'm using Firefox.
Superpowers. Yeah, it's Firefox. They don't mute you. All right, so I guess we're
Wait a minute. We got one more. We got one more.
Not yet. Yeah, Boomer he got it. Boomer's life got
Awesome,
it.
Boomer.
Thank you, Boomer.
Thank you.
Boomer, thank you very much.
He got all kinds of stuff on there too. Look at that.
Come on, Ape. Chip chop.
Thank you.
So, what's our next show? Is that you, Abe? You got something coming up?
I think our next show is to show people how to use tool batteries with a homebrew power interface.
There you go.
That could be a 3 or 4 hour Nuggets episode.
I wish I remember the call sign of the person who told me about that. It's such a novel
Oh.
idea.
Yeah.
Contact
think
me.
you
I
can
can
get
show
the
you
kits on
where
Amazon
to
or
find this
eBay.
stuff. It's Amazon has them. Yeah, and it's. I know Milwaukee has them, and I'm pretty sure you can buy them from DeWalt's. You just put in battery converter or something like that. It'll come up for whatever tool you have.
I was thinking you needed to 3D print some weird thing and get
That's
some
what they are
leads.
3D printed.
It just
They
turns
are
out
3D
you
printed.
can just buy them. They exist.
There's several videos on YouTube about converting tool batteries to repurposing them to other uses. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's kind of cool is
Or
LD
repairing
Moss.
tool batteries.
LD Moss is a new thing for amps, right? For your
Right.
but they require like 45, 50 volts, and that's a way of actually being able to do something portable because you can buy those like for chainsaws and stuff now.
Well, if you
Higher
do
output
that, then you
batteries.
get so much more power out of your amp than you do with
Right,
the
and they run
traditional.
cooler too. They're more efficient,
Yeah.
from what I understand. All right, so I guess we're gonna hit the button there, and thank you guys, everybody, for joining
right.
us today, and hope you had fun.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yep. Thank
Later
you.
all.